Today I'll be covering how the NBA has transformed into a game that used to be dominated by bigger players, and now it is dominated by a lot smaller players who are a lot more quicker and a lot more athletic. In the 20th century, the game was dominated by big men such as Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Tim Duncan. Whereas in today's game, the 21st century, we have seen a new era of basketball arise. This era has seen the emergence of the three-point shot and the importance of having to adapt to today's game. Today I'll be covering three main points. The first is I will cover how Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Duncan dominated back in the 20th century. Their era was dominated by big men. Those players were more physically present than today's game, and they would physically overwhelm their opponents. Secondly, I will talk about how the 21st century has seen a new era of basketball rise in which the three-point shot has seen a sharp increase in importance. The reason for this brings me to my third point. Steph Curry is one of the best players in today's game. He has seen two league MVPs and brought his team to two finals. Teams have been trying to adapt to this new era of basketball. However, Steph Curry is a reason that they are struggling so much. This new era of basketball has seen players like Steph Curry become more successful than he would have been in previous eras. This brings me to my first point. Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Tim Duncan. All greats. All Hall of Famers. They dominated the 20th century of basketball by physically overwhelming their opponents and bullying them to the rim. According to ESPN.com, all of these players won multiple finals MVPs for their respective franchises, the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Spurs. These players physically dominated their opponents and were able to establish themselves as cornerstones of their franchise. However, they were so dominant, the change in the NBA was imminent with the emergence of the three-point shot. The three-point shot has created more opportunity for smaller players who might not be as physically dominant on the court. It allows for them to use their athleticism to their advantage and make space for themselves to create open shots. According to NBA.com, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, both on the Golden State Warriors, have had four of the most prolific seasons in regards to the three-point shot in the last decade. Some of the best three-point seasons in regards to three-point field goals made, like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson's 4 seasons that they've had, have happened all within the past decade. Steph Curry has made teams adapt to the new style of basketball, however, to no avail. In continuation, Steph Curry has led the Warriors to 2 NBA Finals, and and according to NBA.com, he won the league's first unanimous MVP, a hard feat. This is Steph Curry, and the headline says, "Can't Stop Curry." And on the subscript says, he was the 11th player in NBA history to win back-to-back titles while also averaging over 30 points per game. This is an incredible feat by any player, especially a player under the height of 6'5". Teams have been trying to replicate what the Warriors have done in the past few years. However, it's been difficult because they are still stuck in the era of the 20th century in which they are trying to dominate the game with big men. In conclusion, the 20th century has seen smaller, more athletic players take over the game as opposed to the 20th century when players like Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Duncan used to dominate. They used to use their physical presence to overwhelm opponents. However, in today's game, the smaller players, who might not be as big and physically overwhelming, use their athleticism to create space and make open shots for themselves. The 21st century has seen an emergence of shooters. We have seen this rise because the three-point shot has made teams adapt to how the game is played today. Today's game in the NBA is dominated by three-point shooters as opposed to years ago when big men used to dominate. Although the game is subject to change from year to year, a change this drastic in any professional sporting league is very rare, and we are seeing it happen before our very eyes in this new era of NBA basketball.